مصاحبه سیمای آزادی با جان برد، وزیر خارجه پیشین کانادا.
بینندگان عزیز، سلام بر شما. در ادامه مجموعه گفتگوهای سیمای آزادی با شخصیت‌های برجسته حامی مقاومت با آقای جان راسل برد هستیم و امروز گفتگویی داریم با ایشون. آقای برد سیاستمدار برجسته کانادایی هستند. بین سالهای 2011 تا 2015 در کابینه نخست وزیر استفن هارپر سمت وزیر امور خارجه کانادا رو به عهده داشتند. میدونین که آقای برد در دورانی که وزیر خارجه کانادا بود از یک سیاست قاطع علیه دیکتاتوری آخوندی حمایت میکرد، همچنان که دولت وقت این کار رو میکرد. در سپتامبر 2012 جان برد رژیم آخوندی رو بزرگترین تهدید امنیت جهانی توصیف کرد و اعلام کرد که کانادا سفارتش رو در تهران میبنده و دیپلمات‌های رژیم آخوندی رو از کشورش اخراج کرد. بعد از این مقدمه کوتاه همراه میشیم با آقای جان برد. Hello, Mr. جان برد.
سلام آقای جان برد. به سیمای آزادی خوش آمدید. خوشحالم که با شما هستید. در مقدمه گفتم که شما وزیر خارجه کانادا در زمانی بودید که سفارت آخوندها رو بستید و همه دیپلمات‌هاشون رو در سپتامبر 2020 اخراج کردید. شما این رژیم رو بزرگترین تهدید برای امنیت بین‌المللی توصیف کردید و بسته شدن سفارت کانادا رو در تهران و اخراج تک به تک نفرات رژیم رو از کانادا اعلام کردید. قطعه کوتاهی رو ببینیم که بخشیش از اخبار سیمای آزادی در سپتامبر 2012 هست و بعد من از شما سوال می‌کنم.
Every last one of them. Yeah, every last one of them in Canada. We'll have to watch a very short video clip when our channel announced that in September 2012, and then I'll ask you the question. Thank you.
بیانیه جان برد وزیر خارجه کانادا. تعلیق روابط دیپلماتیک با رژیم آخوندی، بستن سفارت کانادا در تهران، اخراج تمامی دیپلمات تروریست های رژیم از کانادا. وزیر خارجه کانادا اعلام کرد کانادا رژیم ایران را مهمترین تهدید برای صلح جهانی و امنیت بین المللی می شناسد.
Canada's position on this regime is very well known. Canada views the government of Iran as the most significant threat to global peace and security in the world today. The Iranian regime is providing increasing military assistance to the Assad regime.
Okay, it was in September 2012.
این در سپتامبر 2012 بود. سوالم اینه که چطور شما و دولتتان تصمیم گرفتید این سیاست رو اتخاذ کنید؟ آیا چنین سیاستی رژیم رو جری‌تر نمی‌کنه و باعث نمیشه اعمال خصومت‌آمیز و تروریسمش رو گسترش بده؟
Make it expand its hostile behavior like terrorism and so on.
No, having diplomatic relations certainly didn't help them take a different path. It didn't help them. It didn't help them stop the violence, stop their terrorism, stop the repression of the Iranian people within Iran. You know, listen, I became foreign minister in mid-2011, and we spent many months thinking about what we could begin to do to support the Iranian people. And we just felt having the mullah's mouthpiece on Canadian soil wasn't helpful. I was tremendously worried about Canadian diplomats in Iran. Just like the resistance units can't depend on the police and authorities to come and protect them from the government, we didn't feel that we could count on the Iranian government protecting our diplomats under the Geneva Convention and the Vienna Convention. So we were deeply disturbed. We were disturbed by their terrorism in every corner of the world, their terrorism against the Iranian people and the MEK. We were concerned about their nuclear program, and we were concerned especially about the deteriorating human rights situation in every region of Iran, and we felt we had to take not just tough talk, but significant action, and that was really the beginning of a much harder line policy against not Iran, not the Iranian people, but against the mullahs in Tehran.
یادتون هست که رژیم به هواپیمای اوکراینی موشک شلیک کرد و بسیاری از هموطنان شما و بسیاری از ایرانیان مقیم کانادا که در اون هواپیما بودند جان باختند. رژیم از همکاری با دولت‌های کانادا و اوکراین سرباز میزنه. به عنوان یک سیاستمدار کانادایی و وزیر پیشین خارجه، به نظر شما سیاست صحیح چی باید باشه؟
As a Canadian politician and former foreign minister, what should be the right policy?
This isn't just one Canadian that was killed, like Zara Kazemi. This was some dozens and dozens and dozens of Canadians killed. This was not an accident. This was not a mistake. The regime tried to lie about it. They tried to cover it up. They wouldn't. If this was an honest mistake, they would have had full cooperation with Canada, Ukraine, and others. The government appointed a very high-level emissary, Ralph Goodale, to try to work to try to get justice, and he was shut down every single time he went forward. So this is just another example. This was the second biggest terrorist attack on Canadians that we've seen in our country, and it was just one more nail in the coffin of the mullahs. It shows you that they're not taking a different path; they're taking a harder line. And one of the things I've been so inspired about is we're seeing the people of Iran rise up. This regime is at its weakest point in more than 40 years. I'm inspired by the members of each and every single resistance unit, all 5,000 of them and their members, that a better future is going to be on the horizon for Iran very soon.
حالا میخوام درباره حمایت شما از مقاومت ایران سوال کنم. چطور این جنبش رو شناختید و شروع به حمایت از این مقاومت کردید؟
began to support the resistance movement.
You see they may not always be on the top of the news in North America, but the video evidence coming out of the resistance units is truly inspiring. People are showing a lot of courage and a lot of bravery to speak out. This is how regimes begin to fall. And the mullahs in Tehran and their spokespeople say they dismiss the MEK, they dismiss the NCRI, they dismiss all the residents of Ashraf 3 and Madame Rajavi. But if they're so dismissive of the support that the resistance has, why are they trying to promote a terrorist attack here at Ashraf 3? Why were they trying to do it in 2018 in Paris? They're afraid of the internal struggle of the Iranian people.
شما در گردهمایی سال 1397 در پاریس حضور داشتید و میدونید که توطئه‌ای برای بمبگذاری در اون گردهمایی وجود داشت و همگی ما میتونستیم از اهداف بالقوه اون باشیم. علت این اقدامات رژیم چیه و چه کار باید کرد؟
I was there with Madame Rajavi, there with dignitaries from around the world, there with Persian communities from around the world, speaking up for freedom and supporting the resistance within Iran. So I felt personally affected by this. It's just another example of a long, long list of the promotion of terrorism and realization of terrorism by the mullahs in Tehran. If they thought that would scare people off or have them back down, they're sadly mistaken. And people should know in Iran that the National Council of Resistance of Iran and the MEK are fighting what happened at that gathering in 2018. They fought in the courts and they won. They fought hard in Sweden for someone being held, another terrorist, against the MEK from getting away with the 1988 massacre.
Exactly.
So they're making great success outside of Iran. And hopefully that'll inspire us to continue to promote accountability. But terrorist threats won't back down. I'm here at Ashraf 3, not just because I believe in this cause, but I'm here to spite those who would think that terrorism will silence our voices. I'm inspired by each and every member of the resistance unit, all 5,000 of them. I'm inspired by their bravery and courage, and that's why I'm committed to doing even more.
نظر شما در مورد برنامه‌های این جنبش برای آینده ایران چیست؟
Well, I think if you look at the principal program I see of the NCRI, it's weaponizing the truth. They're able to get that message throughout every region of Iran, trying to boycott this whole ridiculous notion of a halal internet. They are effectively leading resistance in every corner of the world and within Iran. They are helping recruit, helping bring in more people. I mean, it's not enough. I mean, 5,000 is a tremendous success, but we see more and more retirees, teachers, union members, young people joining this struggle. And that's why the cracks on this regime are really beginning to show. They're obviously terrified, not frankly of an outside military strike. They're terrified of a popular uprising among their own citizens, which they frankly should be.
بعد از چند سال شما دوباره از اشرف 3 بازدید کردید. سفرتون چطور بود و بعد از 2-3 سال چه احساسی نسبت به اشرف داشتید؟
Well, you see, when I first came here in 2019, they were literally on the hall where we were meeting. They were literally putting the grass on as I arrived a day early to meet with residents and leadership here. Today it's expanded, it's bigger, it's better. The communications effort to name and shame the regime has really grown, and that's inspiring. Getting the story out, getting the information out in Iran and throughout the world is tremendously important.
In the Canadian Parliament there is a bill.
در پارلمان کانادا لایحه‌ای در گرامی داشته قتل عام 1367 و 30,000 شهید اون تصویب شده که به دنبال فتوای خمینی اعدام شدند. به نظر شما برای اجرای عدالت در مورد اون قتل عام چه کار باید کرد؟
What do you think should be done to make justice happen on that massacre?
I think it's tremendously important that we have accountability. When I first was elected to the Canadian Parliament under Stephen Harper, our Prime Minister, he gave me the job to bring in a Federal Accountability Act to hold government accountable. And I think one of the things that people have got to realize, the mullahs and their henchmen, the IGRC, is they can run, but they can't hide. As the regime crumbles and falls, there will be accountable for people who committed genocide, who committed war crimes. What happened in 1988 was an absolute abomination, and the people responsible should be held to account. Anyone with blood on his hands will face justice. What I support is the MEK and Madame Rajavi's 10-point plan, and that's first and foremost led by democracy. Let the people of Iran choose their own government. Let's have a framework that will promote democracy, human rights, the rule of law. Let's look at what we can do to have a non-nuclear armed Iran. Let's look at what we can do to cut off all the activities that the regime has done to support terrorism. Let's improve an abysmal and deteriorating human rights situation, stop the military intervention into virtually every country in the region, and support everyone who supports a freely elected government that can lead and inspire the Iranian people. You know, the Iranian people are incredibly smart. They're well educated. They're very innovative. They've got great natural resources, but they have a corrupt government. They have an incompetent government that is funneling billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars away from things like supporting healthcare and education. And that's why we saw such an incompetent reaction to the global pandemic, the COVID-19 epidemic throughout Iran. Imagine if the money, instead of being stolen from the Iranian people and sent to fight the Syrian people supporting Bashar al-Assad, instead of money going to terrorist groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, or to do overseas terrorist activity. Imagine if all that was put to the use and benefit of the Iranian people. I'll tell you, a brighter day is in store, and that brighter day we can see light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
در پایان این گفتگو می‌خواستم مستقیما با مردم ایران صحبت کنید که این گفتگو رو از سیمای آزادی دنبال خواهند کرد.
Watch the interview on سیمای آزادی INTV.
Terrific. Listen, the people of the free world, the people who support dignity, the people who are against nuclear weapons, the people who are against terrorism and the exploitation and lack of human dignity in Iran, they're watching the uprising, they're watching the resistance unit, they're inspired by your courage, they're inspired by your determination. We stand with you. We're not just standing quietly, we're standing aggressively. The mullahs in Tehran tried to shut the voice from Ashraf 3 down, and instead it's inspired us to work harder and longer to support you in this great struggle. We are with you. God bless.
خیلی ممنون. حضور شما برای ما مایه خوشوقتی است.
Thank you.
Thank you.